My name is Ed Accura, and I'm the producer of the short film documentary, a film called Blacks Can't Swim. The aim of the film is to understand why a disproportionate amount of black people and ethnic minorities can't and don't swim. On my journey to find the truth, I have the pleasure of speaking with a DJ, author, and presenter. He was the host of BBC One Extra. He was Dizzy Rascal's official tour DJ in 2008. As an interviewer, he interviewed a number of hot names in the industry, including DJ Khaled, J. Cole, Skepta, and many others. In 2009, Drake's first UK interview was with this gentleman, DJ Semtex. Welcome to In the Deep End with Ed Accura.
Hey, how you doing? You alright?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Did I leave anything important out? There's so many things that you've done.
Yeah, I mean, the main things are, basically I'm a DJ, broadcaster, and author. I've released a book, and fan of hip hop first and foremost, and pretty much that sums everything up. I've done a lot of things. I've toured the world, DJed on every continent. I've worked with some of the biggest artists of our time, and I've been on radio stations for the last 17 years between BBC. Now I'm at Capital Extra, and basically, I just got a passion for the music. That's what drives everything.
I can feel the passion in your voice, and we see it all in your work anyways. Swimming. So, can you swim?
Okay, so I've got a very, very different story to a lot of other people in the sense that I was born with an illness called lymphangioma, which it basically affected my right arm. So if you imagine the antibodies that go around your body 360, they were missing from my right arm. So if I ever caught a flu or if I ever caught a common cold, most people have to stay off school or work for 2-3 days. I ended up being in hospital for 2-3 weeks because it really would just knock me out. And it was like the weak link to my body, my entire right arm. It used to swell up. It was a very, very unique condition. Like, I've only ever met one other person that had it. And because of that, I wasn't active like normal kids who was running around playing football or whatever. If a ball had kicked my arm, I'd be in excruciating pain. It would just, it put me in pain. I'd probably end up in the hospital. And from being born to the age of 15, I had copious amounts of operations, and basically that affected my life. I wasn't going through life the same way that everybody else was. I probably missed a couple of years of school. I definitely missed a year of school, but in total, it's probably a few years that I missed in school in terms of time off. So when it came to doing sports, when it came to doing other stuff, I wasn't in the same timeline as kids my age growing up. So I started swimming probably when I was like 10 to 12, and because of my condition with my arm, I wasn't as active, but I could still swim. So it was basically, it took me a while longer to learn to swim, and I actually had physiotherapy to help me do it when I was a kid.
So when you were growing up, did your parents actively push you towards swimming? So I'm just trying to understand.
Yeah, it wasn't. The reason why I was swimming was actually because the doctors and nurses said it would actually help with my condition. It would actually make it better. Their theory was the more I exercised, the more I could combat this illness. But I don't think that was the case. I think that was like more wishful thinking. I think everything's changed since then. This was like a number of years ago. But at the time, the idea was, all right, keep fit. This will keep the illness at bay. But it didn't keep. It's like if your arm is weaker than the rest of your body, it's never going to get stronger again. It's like as your body grows, your veins are formed and everything else, your nerve system's formed and everything else. If your right arm is inherently weaker, it's never going to match up. So the whole thing about exercising, I don't think it was ever going to happen, but it may have helped keep traditional illnesses at bay, like to the level that it affected me. So that was more the remit. The remit was learn to swim to help stay healthy. And, you know, I liked it. I never had a problem with it. I wasn't scared of water. I was keen to do it, you know. So it did help me a lot, but it kind of, it was, it's like I said, my reason for swimming is totally different to everybody else's.
So what's your situation with swimming now? In regards to your health, from a health perspective?
It's a very, very different situation now, because what happened was, and there was a catalyst which actually involved swimming, where basically I was at a swimming pool in Oldham Baths, and when I got out of the pool, I didn't dry myself or anything properly. As usual, I just went outside, wet hair and everything else, and I caught a cold. So this was when I was 15. But this cold was deadly. This cold really knocked me out. It really did. And again, I had to go to hospital and everything, and I had to have treatment and more operations. And then it was a point where even when I came out of hospital, I was still ill, because even though it was just in my right arm, it affected the rest of my body. It's like, it was like, it's like the weak link to my body. It wasn't just, my arm was in pain or anything like that. My whole body was knocked out. I was ill, I'd be pale. And what happened was, it got to a point where it was so bad that I went to visit the doctor, and the doctor was, you know, he was just said, look, you've got a choice. If you know, there's an infection in your arm and it's going to spread into your lungs, and we either take your arm off or you die. So that kind of situation, being faced with that at that age, it kind of didn't bother me, because I'd been through so much pain. I was just like, cool, get it over with. I was just like, fuck it, I'm done with this. So, quite a long story short, by the age of 16, you know, my arm was amputated, and I had to address life in everyday ways of dealing with things. You know, it was a very, very weird experience to go from being dragged down by this painful situation to all of a sudden you're set free. So, and it's really weird, because when you're walking around and stuff, like, it messes with the balance of your body. It's like, anybody today, if you lose a limb, you know, you're used to walking around in a certain way, but once that limb's gone, it puts you off balance. So it's not even just swimming afterwards. It was like even walking properly, you know. And I guess there's that phrase, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, is definitely true, because it really didn't hold me back. It just made me more determined to do everything I wanted to do. It made me more determined to live not even a normal life, a better than normal life, because, you know, I'd been held back for so long. So within months, I was able to, you know, I can ride a bike or whatever, because I did that before. So yeah, I can ride a bike now. And my attitude to swimming is, I love swimming. You know, that's the first thing I did, was figure out how to swim. And you know, with any situation, you just figure it out. Like, I'm not doing this today to be like, hey, look at me, you know, I'm amazing or whatever. It's not. You just, you know, you just deal with it. Something happens, you just deal with it and get over it, and that's all there is to it. So I wanted to continue to swim, so I figured it out. I could swim very, very well. I can do backstroke, I can do breaststroke, I can swim like 10, 20 lengths or whatever. There was a point where I was getting ahead of myself when I was considering swimming the English Channel, which I don't think would have been a good idea, but it shows you the intent. So yeah, that's my attitude towards swimming now.
Because it was directly or indirectly the reason that led to your arm being amputated, did you have any animosity towards swimming? But from what you've said just now, you clearly didn't.
There's no animosity. I mean, it was going to happen sooner or later. You know, if it wasn't that, it would have been something else. And it's, if anything, if we do look at it like that, if anything, it's my fault for not making sure it was dry properly when I came out of the swimming pool. It's my own fault. So it's not even, I wouldn't blame it on anything or anyone, you know.
One of the biggest things I've been talking about since a film called Blacks Can't Swim came out was role models. And from what I've heard today, you clearly should be a huge role model for the black community, for the black and ethnic community in swimming. Because if in your situation and your condition you can do it and you recognize it as a life skill and as a for recreational purposes and such, then I don't see why anybody else shouldn't be able to do it. So thank you very much for that.
The thing is, I don't think people realize the benefits of it, and it's actually, you see people trying to get fit, you see people going to the gym. It's actually the best way to exercise, because you're conditioning your body at the entire same time. My only gripe with swimming is that in the UK, the weather's horrible. Obviously, when I go on holiday, I'm in the pool every day, like 2 or 3 times a day. I was on holiday recently, early this year, and I felt so much better when I came back that, honestly, it really does hit you how this country affects you over here. Like, when I was over there, obviously I was eating healthier, but I was swimming every day, so, there was no aches, pains, or anything like that. I felt like Superman every day. I just felt mad healthy, and that lasted for about a month or 2 from when I came back. But as soon as you come back to this country and you get out of that cycle of doing that, it wears you down. The aches, the pains that you get. Like, everybody has them, they're minor or whatever. But it really, I don't know if it's everyday life, I don't know if it's the weather, but it does take its toll on your body. And I think there was a clear difference of health from when I was swimming in July, and I was doing it 3 times a day. I wish I could do it over here. It's just that I don't get the time to do it, and that's a stupid, lame excuse. But and the weather's not as good, so when you get out of the pool, it's freezing cold and everything else and all of that. So but I do need to hit the local swimming pool and just spend half an hour there or something. But I love it,
Because as you know, I'm only now learning how to swim. I do it once a week, and every time I go to the swimming pool, because I'm doing it down in London Bridge and Fitness First with Swim in Nature. Before I even get changed, I text my swimming instructor. I said, "Is it cold or is the pool cold or is it warm? Shall I bring a kettle?" Because you know what? When you get into the pool and it's cold, it's like, oh, it's hard, yeah. So I hear you.
Just jump in.
Yeah, I know. That's when I started doing it. Close my eyes and just jump in there, get it over with.
Jump in.
Yeah.
Just jump in. And I think even if, the only way you're gonna overcome your fear of swimming is to just jump in. Literally, it is like the metaphor, dive in the deep end and everything else. But just jump in, and then if there's no shame, there's no embarrassment. It doesn't matter what level you're at. Just go for it. And if you can get, it's easy to get swimming lessons. It's very commendable to start from the beginning if you haven't swam before. And there's nothing to be afraid of. As human beings, we naturally float anyway, so you're not going to drown. There's no fear of that. What I have got a fear of is swimming at sea. That freaks me out, because that's different. It's not so much the fear of water, it's the currents. I think I've seen too many films where people get swept out to sea and everything, and it's very, that's different. But, I was on holiday, and then someone said there was sharks nearby, and this, that, and the other, and the current is, as human beings, we're ants on this mud ball hurling through space. We are nothing compared to the power of nature. So for me, that fear of waves and being dragged out to sea and everything else, and I'm not a professional swimmer. I'm not as good as some people. There's some people that can just dive into the ocean and just swim, and they could probably survive out there for a few days. But for me, it's like, I'm not at that standard yet. I'm not at that level. So that is a fear. I'll go in the water, but I'm not going to go too far. Like, it does freak me out, I'm not going to lie. But swimming pools, I'm good.
I lived in Ghana for up until I was 16. And one of the reasons why a lot of people, because they have this beach in Accra called Labadi Beach. It's a lovely beach, and you go there, and it's for nice and hot, nice sandy beaches and all that. But they get a lot of drownings there because a lot of people go there to learn how to swim, and because they're not in a controlled environment. The current comes at any given time. The sea is one of the places where you've got to be very careful if you're learning how to swim.
Yeah, you have to respect nature. I mean, it's the same as if you was gonna climb up a mountain. Some people might just think, you need training, you need the right equipment, you need the right conditioning. It's the same thing if you was gonna go to the desert or anything. You really got to respect nature, because it's those moments when you realize how insignificant you are as a human being. Yeah, I mean, I did a bit. I mean, I got the scuba mask and I did a bit of that in the sea, and it was a lot of fun, and it was dope to see all the fishes and everything. And I was swimming at the most shallow part, and the minute there was a wave, I was like, "Yep, back on the beach, let's go." But it's just, I think that's just common sense. I think if you're not a professional swimmer, don't go in the water if you're drunk or anything like that. It's just basic common sense, But I think definitely in swimming pools, just practice, try and do 20 lengths, like push yourself, maybe just start doing widths of the pool, then doing lengths, and then do 5, then do 10, then push yourself to do 20, and just take it from there. It's invigorating.
Costs. It always comes up as one of the reasons. I'm not going to say excuse, but I'm going to say reason why people say they can't swim. If you've got about 2 or 3 children, taking them for lessons can be quite expensive. What's your thoughts on that?
I think that's nonsense, and I think it is an excuse because, if that's the case, don't pay for Sky, don't pay for Netflix, don't buy those Nike trainers, don't. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Make the sacrifice elsewhere. This is a life skill. You never know when this might help you in life. You never know where you could be in that situation where you're like, you know what? I can swim. You know what I mean? Yeah. Maybe it's a situation where you got to save someone's life. Maybe it's a situation where, something happens in a plane crash or whatever. It's just you just need that life skill. And again, not only that, it's better for exercise, and it's cheaper than most forms of exercise. And once you can swim, you don't pay for them lessons again anyway. I mean, most public baths, incredibly cheap. If you're talking about private lessons at a private gym, it's going to be expensive, but there's a lot of public baths throughout the UK, and those lessons aren't that expensive. When you look at what else you've got to buy or you spend your money on throughout the week, and if you smoke, don't smoke, like use that money to practice or vaping or whatever. If you're drinking, there's no excuse. It really isn't.
Do you think the media, the education system, the government have a part to play in order to help eradicate the issue?
I think it's as much on parents as it is on the school system. I think when I was at school, they had swimming lessons, and I didn't do them because because I was ill. I did it in my own time. But I do think definitely it should be part of a school curriculum in terms of sports education. I think parents, in the same way that you encourage your kids to ride a bike, I think it's up there with that, like teaching kids how to tie shoelaces, how to ride a bike, how to read, how to swim. It's one of them functions in life that should be taught anyway. So I don't think it should be any kind of blame on the government like that or anything like that. But I do think it's on everybody's interest to do it. And it's really intriguing to hear about this issue because I've seen what you was posting online and I got introduced to what you was talking about via the timeline, and that's why I wanted to reach out and talk to you, because if my experience can help or encourage someone, great. And I think my great grandfather was from Sierra Leone, and I'm probably like 3rd or 4th generation, so my family's been there for centuries, and I think, well, a century or two, and basically it's it wasn't, again, for my instance, it wasn't an issue of color or anything like that, or, you know, even friends that was in school at the time that was going swimming, I never saw that as an issue or anything else. I heard about the stereotype about being heavy boned, but that's bollocks. You know, at the end of the day, it's just, this is something that everybody should do, you know.
So I'm not even going to bother asking you about the question about hair. People using hair as a reason of not to swim and such.
I've heard that as well. I mean, even, you know, I mean, I can't really talk on that, but I do know that there's ways around it, isn't it? There's skull caps and everything else. There's a lot of things have moved on now. So again, that's an excuse. You know, is just do it at a time when you're not gonna get your hair did. You know what I mean? Or get it braided, and that's easier to maintain.
Slavery. So we hear that slavery had an impact on black people's attitude and consequently our fears of water. And they said they're talking about fears being passed down the generation through genetics and such. Do you think there's any truth in this? Do you think it holds water? Excuse the pun.
I've never heard of that, and I don't think that's the case. I just think we're in the UK, it's very cold, and there's no immediate need to learn to swim. And I think it stems from that more than anything else. I don't think it's anything that's genetic or historically fundamental like that as the reasons why people of colour don't swim. We live in Britain, it's freezing cold. You come out of a pool, there's a chance you're going to catch a cold. It's like, you know, we only see the sunshine for a couple of months in the year. So I think if you live somewhere else where the temperature was different, you'd be swimming every day. If you've got the money and you could afford a swimming pool, you'd be swimming every day.
Yeah,
you know?
Very true, very true. Role models. I was invited to London Metropolitan University a few months back to come and do a talk about the film. So showed the film, did a Q&A, and I asked, there were about, I think there was about 30 people in the class, and 10 to 12 of them were black. I asked them if they knew of any professional swimmer, and not a single person could.
Yeah.
And
I think that's going to change, though. And I think, I mean, did you see on the news recently about that 8-year-old kid from Lagos?
Yep, I saw that, yeah.
With amounts of medals and awards. I think he's going to be a catalyst to change that kind of attitude. So,
I hope that changes. And as you know, as we stand right now, there's only one black swimmer in Team GB, Alice Deering, who she's part of the Blacks Can Swim campaign as a role model for her to encourage. So people see that she's doing it and they will go and do it as well. Not necessarily to a competitive level, but just to swim, from a life skill perspective. So what have you been up to? What have you been up to lately? And what's your plans for the future?
Everything. I mean, everything. Like everything from DJing to doing the podcast to working with artists to music production. Everything across the board. And my plans for the future is just to carry on and just build the momentum and just take what I'm doing and amplifying things to a much bigger space and just take everything that I'm doing to a higher level. I just want to keep winning. I just want to keep taking what I'm doing as far as I can take it and to see where I can take it and just push the levels, push the boundaries and just help people along the way. And yeah, you know, that's it basically.
Well, thank you very, very, very much. I'm pretty sure a lot of us will be able to take a lot from this. If you're doing it and you're enjoying it and you're continuing to do it, there's nothing we can use as a reason not to swim. Just keep on doing your thing. Thank you very much for taking the time out to speak with me and the community at large. Let's keep the message going that blacks can swim, and let's change the perception. Let's get rid of the stereotype, the misconceptions, everything else that goes around us not swimming, and let's just do it. So yeah, thank you very much, sir.
Definitely. All right, and thank you for doing this. You know, it's a significant issue, and I think more people should be aware. And I think people can only benefit from being aware of this and being encouraged to swim. But like I said, I think work that you're doing, and I think there's other people that are coming through. I think it's going to change everything. So it's all positive moving forward.